Hello, welcome back, friends. Thank you for watching this wonderful little podcast that we've been putting together for the last couple months called And as always, my co-host, D. Grant Smith, myself, Travis Eason, and then today we have a wonderful special guest, Terri Knight, which we're going to be interviewing. We're coming to you live right now, Thursday morning, November the 7th?
That's correct.
November the 7th, 2024. We are at Majestic Coffee Shop in beautiful, historic downtown Abilene at the Neon Parrot Live Studios. D? Winner. Terri, we're really glad that you're here today.
Well, I'm really glad to be here. This is pretty cool. I love this place anyway.
And you're kind of comfortable, like, right here with all this behind you and the
This
microphone.
is my spot
This
every
is your
Sunday.
spot. Yeah.
Every Sunday.
Yeah.
We're here.
And we were just discussing that's been going on for
6 or 7 years. Yeah. It's crazy how long that's been going on and how time has flown by before you even realize it.
Yeah, that's wild. And you've just been hosting that almost every single Sunday.
I believe so. I think I've missed maybe 3 or 4 where Sam has had to take the reins, but yeah.
That's great. That's great. We watched, my son who's in the audience today, we were watching on the phone live last Sunday. It's kind of fun. I don't know.
Yeah, I forget he does that live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. Sam, our producer extraordinaire, just capturing all this great content.
Mr. Engineer.
So, Terri, let's talk about why we might want to have had you on this podcast, because you
Let's
are
do it.
like an up-and-coming shooting star in the, would you say your genre for music is country or folk, or, I mean, how would you classify yourself as a genre?
I would say probably folk, Americana, country, with a little bit of an edgy, rockish stuff thrown in. So it's kind of like I've got my own kind of thing going on, but I like that. I like to have your own path. But, you know, I love the great Americana artists. And, of course, I'm a storyteller. So I have a lot of that going on. And, you know, it's just a fun thing. I just kind of put it wherever it lands.
Okay. But, so let me ask another question real quick. When did you start your career? When did you start your journey as a musician?
Oh, that's a crazy story. When I was 12, my mother got me my first guitar, and I learned to play it. I went home from school every day and spent all my time teaching myself how to play the 6 chords that I know, which was just enough to write music with. And so I sat in there and did that, and then we started getting a little band together, and my mom was a drummer.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so she picked up the drums. My stepfather was the bass player. So I had kind of like I don't want to say Partridge Family, but
Yeah, the
you
family
know,
band.
That's appropriate.
it was kind of the family band. And so we started playing in bars when I was 13. That was my first experience.
That's great.
And we went all over Idaho and Oregon and all over the Northwest. Although I was born in Texas, I was raised all over the place. And so, but we started that, and I started writing music, I guess, when I was 13. And I really, really took the things that happened to me in my life, put them into stories, put them into songs. And so I was able to do that, and then got more and more jobs. However, it did do something weird to me, because when I was 13 and 14, I would make $200 a weekend, you know, playing music. And then when I got tired of music for a little while, I went and got a real job making like $5 an hour. And I said, "You want me to do what?
Yeah.
A whole hour for $5? You're crazy." So it really skewed my view on the working world for a little while.
Well, I mean, you got a different take on it because you were taught what your value is early on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very much so. And so music was just a way that I expressed myself, and I wrote about everything. Any experience that I had, I wrote about it, made songs, you know. So I've been writing songs a long time. And so as it went through, then my style started developing. And, you know, when you're first starting out, you don't know what you're doing. You're just, you know, just kind of flying by night. There you go. And so I did that, and then started just kind of perfecting what I wanted to do. And my songs lent more into folk. And then from there, I started getting like, I was even in a rock band at one time. So you know. So it's run the gambit of different genres and different things. But I like that because I think it makes you a more well-rounded musician when you can appreciate all these different genres. But yeah, that's how it got started.
Did
That's
your
great.
influences change over that period of time? Because it seems like, uh, especially if you started at 13 and you're learning
Yeah.
how to play stuff, maybe were you influenced by the music that your parents were listening to, and then you started kind of finding your own thing along the way?
Yes, that's exactly where the traditional country, that's what I was raised on.
Okay.
So that traditional country never left.
Mm.
And when I was playing the first time around, I played all traditional country music, but then when I started writing, it was more folk. So, and if you think about country music and folk and all of that, it kind of came from the same place, and then it evolved into what it is now. So it was really an interesting experience. But yeah, that was the first influence, was that, because she was a diehard country girl, you know.
Okay.
I think it's interesting, just, as we talk on this podcast about telling stories and creative pursuits and culture, that we are all so influenced by that culture that we grow up in. And it's like if we could maybe take you and your story and put it, just interject it in a different time of history where there was different music culturally going on, you might have that sound. But you're still a storyteller. And
Yeah.
so it's like, no matter what the influences are, you're going to birth creativity.
That's right. I mean, it's sort of like, I've always looked at songwriters as messengers, storytellers as messengers. And, there are a lot of people out there that don't realize what they're trying to say or what they're trying to think. But they can hear a song, oh, that's how I feel right now. So I found a lot of writing and things like that, people resonate with what they can connect with, which is makes you want to write more, and you're like, oh, I really, that person understood what I was trying to say. So it's an understanding, and it's a really cool place to be, and I hope a lot of people have that experience.
Yeah. It's a challenging experience, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it certainly can be, but it's really a good challenge, and it helps your brain. If you're a creative person, it's almost like your brain just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It just continues, and you're always searching for different things and things to keep you alive. And I think really music does that. And if you can go through different genres of music, then all you're doing is just developing until you find your own style, which I've now developed into more of a folk country. I think I've always had that country flair, but it seems like the way Texas music is going, that you see more blues and you see that rocky edge. And so
Yeah, I think
now...
you're right about that. Like, just
Yeah.
thinking like Leon Bridges has kind of got a little bit more of that
Yeah.
softer edge to it. Yeah. the
Yeah, and
blues.
it has that edge. So it's like you can combine these, like, whereas traditional country was just traditional country, but then it grew. And from what it is now, like Texas music, it's grown into just this melting pot of all these different things, which are really cool, because it seems like the generations that are coming up, their brains are more complex. And so this music, if you have different layers of music, they can understand it, whereas maybe, earlier on, you didn't understand what was happening, but now there's just this layering of stuff.
Do you think that that's maybe because we're using deep? Go ahead and interject at any time too. I feel like I'm grabbing these
I don't know, I'm
questions real
just
quick,
tar-
but I'm curious. So
Gabbing over here.
do you think that, like you said, you think the younger minds are like able to process more information, maybe, and so? But do you think music as a communication tool is becoming more complex or more nuanced, or that we're getting more out of it?
I do, because I believe the songwriters, once you realize that you can, that's your outlet for whatever psyche you have, you can put yourself into that music, and you realize other people are connecting. But it is on different layers, because before, let's say the 70s and 80s, kids went out and played outside, rode their bikes, different things like that. But the more the years went by, here comes technology. Here comes all of the gamers and all of the things that make your mind really have to work. And so it is a more complex thing. So your music kind of needs to match that. And then we get into digital music and electronic music, and it's just fascinating when you look at all the different things, all the different layers of things that are happening in the music world, because it's almost like our brains have become more sophisticated with time, you know?
So do you think that it's, as a fellow musician and music lover and curator of music like yourself, as I listen to people that have traveled a whole lot, their music evolves more so, it seems, than people that kind of stay stationary. Do you find that to be true with the music that you listen to?
I think it's true because especially if you travel to different parts of the world or the States, that we have so many different cultures, and all of these different places have different styles and different versions. So whenever you travel, you get to experience things that might have grown or evolved even more than where you are if you're staying in one place. So if you're going out there into the world is connecting with you, you know. So it's really it's a cool thing because you have different viewpoints, you have different you know, I like all kinds of music, but you go into some places, like especially Europe, for example. Like my music is played over there for a couple of years now, and the country station, you might hear a rock song next to a country song, next to a blues song. They don't have any like they're very genre friendly. Yeah, they don't stick to just one thing. They play what they like. So when you get into that kind of thing, that's why so many things are so accepted, you know. But it's interesting. It's really an interesting thing to think about.
Let's stay on the Europe thing. So you have been on the charts in European country music charts. Different. What's the highest you've been?
Number one.
Number one. She's been how many times?
3 times.
3 times number one.
Have
European
3 number ones,
country
yeah.
music chart topper is sitting next to me right now. It's pretty great. I mean, it is pretty cool. I know that you know that it's cool, but I want to let you know that it's really cool.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. It's fun.
And so how did that kind of start for you? How did you get your music into that market?
Oh my gosh. I had to do a trial and error with different promoters, and you go through different people, and you those are learning curves too. You have to really learn how to get your music out there. But I found through somebody here in the States, I found a European promoter who is awesome. His name is Nick, and I won't even try to pronounce his last name because he is in Italy. So he's based in Italy. But he has a syndicated show called Whiskey and Cigarettes.
Very cool.
Which is great. And it goes to all these different places. And so he's my promoter. He gets my music out there to different radio stations and all of that. And then I also release my music through CD Tex. And Texas music is so big in Europe. Country music is so big over there now that whenever I put it out there, like all these other stations started wanting to pick it up. And I've done interviews with Ireland, which was interesting.
That's cool.
Mexico. I mean, just different places like that have put the music in their rotation. And they're not just playing one song, they're playing all the songs. Because I've got 6 out to radio right now.
That's great.
And they're playing all of those. And it's just,
cool.
It's amazing. And it just makes you feel like you are, like what you're doing is on the right path. You know, this is where you should be, what you should be doing. And I've had people tell me, a few in Europe, that my songs made them feel something, you know. And to me, that's the biggest compliment you can get, is as a songwriter or a storyteller or whatever, you know, that's just the biggest, that's what it's about.
That's very cool.
So is there a
Anyway.
European tour coming up for you?
Yeah, we're going to use Sam's little, that little bus that he
Oh,
just
right.
bought,
Float it over
that
there.
Good.
school bus.
Ship it over there.
Well, I asked him if he could convert it to a boat, and he goes, "Sure, let's
Yeah,
do it."
Let's
So,
do it. Anything's
yeah.
possible, right, Sam?
Yeah.
of course, he's going to be the Sam guy. The sound. Sam's the sound guy.
Yep.
Sam is the
And,
same guy too.
But we talked about that. But yeah, I really do want to. I'd like to try to do that next year and just take a couple of weeks and go play some little pubs and just see some different parts of the world. Would be
I would
really
think
cool.
you would probably be able to fill a stadium in Europe if you've topped the charts.
I don't know.
Wimbledon.
I don't
Easy.
know.
Wimbledon,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. There's
I don't
lots of
know.
big festivals over there.
But you don't know because you're here and you
Yeah.
just don't know what's happening over there. However, I did get nominated for. It's something in the Netherlands. It's Best Country Voice,
Nice.
Songwriter of the Year.
Yeah.
So there are a few things like that happening,
Those
which are pretty
huge,
cool.
Huge accolades. Yeah. that's
and
big
it's like a
stuff.
red carpet award
Love
thing.
it.
Like I'm probably not going to be making it over there, but and I may not even win.
Yeah,
Who
man,
knows?
you
There might
speak-
be 300, nominations, but still, I got nominated.
Yeah.
So
What you speak is what comes into being. So
that's true.
speaking that good stuff.
They're gonna fly her
Continue to
over
do
there
that.
and give her an award and 2 weeks stay at a nice 5-star hotel. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try to hook that up.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Then jump
yeah.
on your little bus boat and sail back over.
The bus boat.
Bus boat.
I like
Oh.
it. The one with the graffiti on it.
So, yeah, I did some graffiti
You
on
did?
that bus. I did.
Oh, that
Mhm.
looked great.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
I love it.
Couple beers deep,
No way.
Homemade ones?
No, I haven't done that in a while.
Bummer.
Yeah, there was a time for home brewing, but not so much anymore.
Well, if I go to Ireland, of course.
Lots of beer to drink.
There's
in
lots.
Ireland. Absolutely. I'm just looking outside, friends. We have a wonderful view of the street downtown here in Abilene. It's just pouring rain,
It sure
and we
is.
love to get rain here in West Texas. Do you have a song about rain? Do you have any songs that you sing about rain?
No, but I need to. I'll write one.
Yeah.
Hey, will you write a song about
That'll be my next one.
parking in Abilene? And,
Oh. We didn't say we wanted to do anger.
and avoiding the little ticket guy that chalks your tires.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, that's just good
Yeah.
fodder for you.
Just good fodder.
That is true, but that would be a really good comedic song. I'll work on that.
What is your songwriting process? Do you have a process, or does it kind of vary?
I never know. If I try to write a song, it does not happen.
Okay.
But like I was waiting, you know how long these trains are around here?
Mm-hmm.
You're sitting there forever. And so I was sitting there waiting for the train to go by, and these lyrics hit me, and I went, okay. So I just keep a pad, Some people do it on their phone, but I'm like over here, old school.
I've got one in my pocket right now.
Perfect.
Yep.
And so I sat there and wrote this song called Train Track, and I'm about to record that one in a couple of weeks.
Very cool. Very cool. Do you
Yeah.
have a home studio, or do you record with someone locally?
No, I record with Terri Mashburn at Big Note Recording Studio.
Nice.
And yeah, I've done all of my stuff there. And once I did the first one I did somewhere else, but all the ones since then have been with him. And he's just such a great collaborator. And, and the thing is that they know, like what I've done lately has been recorded for radio, and they know what it takes. So now my songwriting has evolved into, like, if you see me live, my songs sound very different than my recordings because I do my acoustic just kind of freestyle, whatever, but whenever we do the recording studio, we know there's like a formula and they know what is going to be best for radio. And some artists don't like that. They don't want to go follow that format, but if you want to get your songs heard, I mean, sometimes that's what you have to do.
Well,
And still stay true to yourself.
after 22 years in radio, I totally understand. There's a metric, a bar that's set from production standpoints, but then after that, I think it's fairly high for the rudimentary novice musician.
Yeah.
But once you get to that level, going above that just becomes a matter of playing into the preference of the people that you're putting the music in front of.
That's exactly
And
right.
some people have a
Yeah.
preference towards like wanting more of a mid, like they want the mids higher than they want the highs and the lows. And other people have it skewed in different ways. But still, that threshold, that basic production sound and mastering has to be there. And once it's there, you can tweak and just have fun with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and you're not going to fit all formats, of course. Sometimes they don't know what my songs fit. So, but I just recently, a new chart, which is an Americana chart, picked up 2 of my songs.
Cool.
So it's like, I think I am more probably folk Americana, maybe bluesy. But because country has evolved so much, then now I can fit into that genre. But yeah, it's an interesting process. It really is. But you have to really, and then don't be afraid to listen to somebody. You may think, oh, this is the greatest song I've ever written. And no, I'm not changing for anybody. But sometimes if you want to be on the radio, sometimes you have to take advice and maybe a little bit of criticism, and some people can't do that. So,
well, also in that vein, because I spent a long time coaching musicians and all that stuff too, somebody's opinion about your music, especially if you're hearing praise from a group of people that are not just kissing your butt all the time, but
Right.
they're actually giving you honest feedback.
Yes.
And then you hear one Simon Cowell in the world that can't find a single positive thing to say about anybody, let alone themselves or you. You could take it with a grain of salt or a grain of sand or a grain of something, but just like nod, smile, thank you for your time, move on down the road. That's not the same thing as gospel truth.
It's interesting that, and I tell people this all the time, they're like, how do you get on the charts? How do you do this? How do you do that? Well, the thing is, the number one thing is you have to believe in your art.
Yeah.
You have to believe in yourself first. There are a lot of, I don't want to call them haters, but there are people that are jealous of what you've accomplished. And so they're going to try to, say, well, I didn't like that, or you should have done this, or, well, stay true to yourself, because you can, when you've been in it long enough, you can tell if something's going to work or it's not. And so you can take, like you say, take their opinion and say, thank you very much. I really appreciate what you have to say, and I'll think about that. And then, just take it and think about it.
Sometimes people have this notion that they have to be critical in order to be helpful.
Yeah.
And it's not true.
Yeah.
Also, sometimes people feel like they have to be positive in order to be helpful, and that's not always true either. So there's an authenticity that when it's coming from your real heart and you're speaking your truth, and you're speaking it in a way that resonates with you, that's the message that gets received, not necessarily the words themselves.
Yeah, like with Terri, I mean, he's just blatantly honest. And when I first went in there, he was like, well, we need to rework this song, and so he helped me with a lot of stuff. And at first I was like, what do you mean? This is the way I want it to be. Well, but then when we got done, it was better.
Yeah.
It was much better than what I had originally put out there. So you can learn from everyone, take that criticism and keep what you want, throw out what you don't want, but learn from it.
Well, and I think music is like, as a craft or as an artistic expression, it's kind of one of the more fluid, creative moments. Like I could, we could write a song right now, the three of us, and we could think, oh, that's a good song. We might get it to a place where we feel like, hey, that's a pretty good song, and come back to it in a week and hate it, tear it apart, or build on it because we still love it, or whatever.
I have done that, yeah.
And, maybe offer that to some other people, and they might tear it apart, deconstruct it, or they might build on it. It's so fluid. I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not like a painting where it's kind of done, or a sculpture, or a work of poetry. Once you've kind of published that, you're not going to go back and fiddle with it so much. But music can always sort of be fiddled with.
That's so true. I mean, I've done that. I have taken bits and pieces of songs that, some of the older songs that I didn't like, and I'll switch it up, or, and just like when I was in a Terry studio, we needed to write a new song, and he said, you tend to date yourself. I said, what do you mean? He goes, your stuff sounds like it needs, to be, it's not modern, put it that way. It's not up to date. And I'm like, what? And so he says, go write a song, think about what people want today. And I said, well, what they want are whiskey and promises. That's how that song was born.
That's cool.
Then I went home and I wrote Whiskey and Promises, and he goes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes we do need that, like,
Yeah.
creative doula to help us get it birthed.
I want to give some props to you, Travis, for a moment ago, your very punny statement of sometimes music just needs to be fiddled with.
Well, yeah, thank you. Sometimes you get a good one out.
Yeah.
That
Well
needs to
done,
be on a
sir.
T-shirt.
Can always fiddle with it. Don't fiddle with yourself. Fiddle with your music.
Ba-dum-ts.
Music needs to be fiddled with.
So, how long have you been in Abilene?
I think probably 30 years.
30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And been
Yeah.
doing music the whole time that you've been here?
No, I have not. In
Okay.
fact, I decided I was tired of it. I was getting out of it. And then I became so bored. And so I was like, what are you doing? I want to jump off a bridge. I just didn't, I couldn't. I thought, I want to be normal. I want to be like a normal person. And I tried, and I couldn't
They
do
don't
it.
exist.
I could not. I said, what is normal,
Yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't do it. I said, that's it. I'm done. I've got to pick my music back up. And I was here, I think I picked my music back up 15 years ago here. And it was so funny because a lot of my friends had no idea I even did music, and I said, yeah. And they're like, whoa, the things you don't know about a person.
Yep.
But yeah, I picked it back up, and it's been probably the last maybe 4 years that I've really gotten serious with it as far as recording and putting it out to radio and just getting out there and doing all these gigs. And I started absorbing myself into it.
Yeah, and
And
you
then,
play a lot of music live in and around the area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. And I have, every Saturday from noon to 2, I'm out at Crane's Barbecue. And I'm doing it's a songwriter's song swap. And I've gotten really into that because, like here, every Sunday we do the open mic. It's a songwriter's open mic. And what that does is it lets other artists come in and share their craft or perfect their craft. We have a lot of people that haven't been on stage in a while. And so it lets them come in and start getting back into it. And I've loved, especially at our open mics, I've loved the fact that we have musicians that were picking it back up and now they're out playing because they got that little bit of confidence. And that's what open mics are so good for, open mics and song swaps. And then I got some Texas artists to do some song swaps with me. And I couldn't believe they actually wanted to do it. It was like, for next to nothing. I mean,
That's awesome.
but they come from Fort Worth and Dallas and I think also they can get into this area. Because I've been told that it's hard to get into this area. Musically, it's hard to break in. But once you get in, then you know where to go and what to do. So
I don't know that.
I don't know.
That's an interesting. That's an interesting thought. That's not been my experience, but
I can see where that would be like the fear, though, that it seems
Yeah.
like it's hard to get in.
and it's really not.
It's really not that
Yeah.
tough necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got lots of opportunities like open mic to come
Yeah.
Sunday nights down here. And what's cool about the open mic thing too is that you mostly just have other artists in here listening to
It
you.
is mostly other artists, and it's so cool because everybody encourages each other. And I think you have to have that community, to keep yourself going. We had one person come to our open mic that was so cool. I didn't really tell everybody who he was, but it was Bruce Wallace, and he's with the Little Rivers Band. Little River Band, not Little Rivers Band.
Little River.
Little River. But he's on tour with them all the time, and he's a songwriter with them. And he was in Abilene. I think his sister lives here. And so he was here and he wanted to do something. And so she sent me a message and I said, yeah, tell him to come on down.
Nice.
So he came and did like 5 songs that he doesn't get to do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he loved it. He goes, next time I'm in Abilene, I'm coming to that open mic.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool,
Yeah.
though? But so, I mean, no matter what their success is or what status they are in the music world, they're still people and they still want to connect.
Mm-hmm.
And he had such a blast because everybody loved his music, you know.
Well, I think you
That's
just
very
gave
cool.
away what the actual key is. This has been my experience, both with radio and with music and with being a musician in this town and anywhere else. Building community and building relationships with people.
That's
If you
it.
tell yourself this thing that it's really, really hard for me because when I show up somewhere, people don't respond to me the way that I want them to. What is the nature of your relationships with people? If you're personable with folks, you can have conversations and you're not just solely focused on yourself,
Yeah.
then all kinds of doors are opened up to you. That's been my experience. The more that I hold myself off years ago out of fear and insecurity, the more those doors were closed. But then when I started, I had a radio show a long time ago called The Appetizer, and it's how Travis found me, I think. But I took a page out of Dale Carnegie's playbook from How to Win Friends and Influence People. Back from 1933, very, very simple quote. I'll summarize the entire thing in this one sentence. You can make more friends in 2 months by showing an interest in other people than you can in 2 years trying to get other people interested in you. And I think that latter statement is something that is pervasive across not just music, but also everything in entrepreneurialism, business, you name it. The more you try to get other people interested in you, sending out this desperation vibe of please notice me, please pay attention to me, please give me value, please show me that I'm worth something. But if you already believe that about yourself, then you don't have anything to prove, and you can go up and instantly create lasting relationships and connections with people, and then all the doors of opportunity open up to you.
That is so true. That is such a true statement. You know, the more you give, you're going to get back. And a lot of people that are so self-absorbed, they don't go anywhere. They just sit because they don't have anyone that wants to help them, you know, or like you say, if you're unapproachable and you don't reach out, and which is why the song swaps are so good, because we're connecting on so many different levels, you know, whether it be the novice or somebody more professional, you know, you realize that you're all just, you know, you're here for the greater good, and you're here to feel some kind of happiness and some kind of love for what you do. But that also transfers to other people, you know. If you believe in yourself, you believe in them, show them a little bit of encouragement, you know. And that's what we try to do also, is just show encouragement to people, because that's what people need more than anything, really, you know.
That's very cool. And I guess that's your driving factor to keep playing music.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's a connection that it's hard to explain, but if you're a musician and you're into it with your whole heart, then, you know, you, like, for example, one song that I did, it's called The Boy. I'm going to record that one soon too, but it's all about how we don't stop and take the time to really look at what's happening with people. You know, we just, we're all into ourselves, you know, we hurry through life. We don't take the time to wonder why that little boy is sitting on that curb and he seems happy, but he doesn't have anything, he has no shoes, you know. And so that song is really about, you know, let some of that stuff go. You know, look at the simpler things. And so I did that. I've done that song now when I do my live shows, and this couple of times people have come up to me and they've said, where can I get that song? I need that song. And so, you know, you've connected. You know, and I just think that's the best. You know, when you can make someone feel something, you've done what you're supposed to do.
I like it.
That's really powerful.
So you're playing at Cranes on Saturdays, doing the song swap. You're hosting the open mic nights down here on Sundays. And where else can people find you?
I am playing at, like, Maker's Market is coming up. That's like where all these vendors get together on Barrow and South 27th. but all these vendors get together one time a year, and so I'll be there on the 23rd, November 23rd. I play out at Playfair Park sometimes, just different places. I mean, and I'm trying to get where I'm, like the first of next year, I'm putting my band together.
Cool.
I had a band called Night Rain, and we played Garage Band Woodstock and all kinds of places. And then we had some unfortunate circumstances with some of the band members. And
It happens.
it
It's
does
tough
happen.
to keep a band together.
It is tough, but we've decided now we're going to get back together.
Cool.
And so that is Rick Rogers, Ronnie Kendrick, and Jimmy Roberts. And these guys have just, I've never had such a connection as what I've had with those guys, and we're going to go out there, make things our own, do the original music. We'll do covers, but we always do, like we do All Along the Watchtower with a funky twist. We like to do things that are original, and if it's not original, it's original to us, But yeah, so a lot of stuff planned, 2025 is going to be a great year, and I'm hoping to be able to get out and about more.
Yeah. Maybe Europe.
Maybe Europe. Yeah, I would love to go to Europe. So and the band is like, we're going with you. And I said, of course, we're all going to cram into Sam's little
Bus boat.
bus
We'll
boat.
put some wings on it and fly it across. That's what we'll do. Pontoon boat. There we go.
Hot air balloon. You could put a balloon thing on it.
Well, there's another bus now. I don't
We
know if
could
you guys know
float.
this, but we drove up Monday to Dallas so Sam could
3
pick up
buses.
the third bus.
The man has 3 buses. I don't get it. What are you? I mean, are you trying to?
We're gonna do
Sam's
like
bus barn?
the Russian stacking doll thing. Where you're gonna take the middle bus, the big bus is gonna eat the little bus, and then the middle bus is gonna eat the little bus.
Okay, so
Stack them together.
so you got a bus for equipment.
Yeah,
You got a bus for the band,
and a bus for the dogs.
and a bus for the dogs.
Yeah.
You got all. It's all covered.
It's all there. It's a good-looking bus. It made it all the way home.
I
That's
love
great.
it. I love that.
So what's coming up for you on your agenda in life? Anything coming up in November besides you said you're playing the Makers
Makers Market.
Market and Saturdays and Sundays your schedule's pretty busy.
Yeah. Friday night I have a song swap at Mesamise where I just pick another artist and go out there for a couple of hours. And then I've had another couple of people approach me to do song swaps. So I may just be the professional song swap person,
It's pretty cool.
It's
pretty cool.
But it's good because you get to see there's so many artists in this area. People do not realize how many musicians are here.
It's a ton.
I mean, and how talented they are. And it's, open mic, we've got everybody that plays the accordion, the piano. I mean, it's, and they'll come up and do just a cappella. I mean, it's amazing. It's really amazing. And it seems like every week we get more and more new people coming in. And, and I love to see that. And people reach out to me on Facebook and they'll, hey, because I put it in all the groups, or try to, but I see people reaching out and doing all that. So I'm going to continue to do that, of course, and then I'm also in radio. So I do my show. I'm actually the music director and on-air personality for Wolf Country. Wolf Country. 107.1 FM.
107.1.
But it's in, see the little logo.
There we go.
I'm on my way to work now, as a matter of fact.
Nice.
I stopped by. But yeah, and I do all kinds of things on that show as well. I do every Friday, I do Featured Artist Friday. So I'll play 3 of their songs and do interviews. And that happens every Friday. And then now this is unprecedented. Every Saturday, of course, it's voice tracked. Don't tell anybody that, okay? This is a voice track show on Saturdays. But I do it's called the Queen's Time Machine because my air name is the Queen. And I do rock and roll from the 60s, 70s, and 80s and some modern stuff. But for 1 hour, on a country station, you get to hear some rock and roll
Right on.
from noon to 1. So it's really, we're doing things that are just kind of innovative and other people aren't doing, and just trying to bring some genres together. Because it is my experience that if you listen to country music, you usually listen to rock and roll. They just kind of go hand in hand. And so it's great. I have had no complaints, but I am also on air from 3 to 7 every weekday. And this station's in Colorado City, so
Okay.
a lot of times I'm, live. But it's really a cool thing. And of course, you probably know my background, that I was the queen on Classic Rock 102 The Bear for 11 years. And then COVID hit, and boom, it just blew up the industry for some reason. But I think that was also a time where that was really when I started pouring myself into my music. Because I thought, you know what? I would probably sit here and be here forever until something happened and I wasn't. And then you go, what am I doing now? Because I was lost. I mean, if you're doing a show for 11 years and all of a sudden it's taken away, you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Then you have to do some soul searching, and you have to say, but there's this other part of me that loves to play music, not just play everybody else's music. And so I took that route, and it's just been going strong ever since, and it's amazing. So now I have the best of both worlds. I have radio and I have my own music. So it's just it's a great thing.
It's awesome. It's super awesome. You found your sweet spot.
Found my niche.
Found your niche.
My niche.
Yeah. Dee, what else do we have for this young lady? For this talented person?
What still inspires you?
I think solitude sometimes,
Amen to that.
which is kind of a weird thing. You would think that, but you're around so many people all the time, and blah, blah, but you've got to have.
Got to recharge those.
You got to have that
batteries,
space, and I deliberately take that space. And I don't know if there's a lot of things to be said about the guitar that you own. The guitar that you own is part of you, and it's a soul connection, and it's hard to explain that to people unless you play. But it's like it's this connection, and I know that this baby will be with me no matter what, and I'll still be able to make music even when nobody else is around. So really, solitude is not loneliness; it's connecting with yourself. Because not only you can connect with that audience or connect with everybody, but you got to connect here, for that to be able to happen. And a lot of times people just need to find their own peace, and that's my own peace, is being able to do that and take the time to do that. And I know everybody's busy and everybody has a lot going on, and
busyness isn't a necessity. Not like we have made it in our culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, well, you feel if you're not doing this or doing that or whatever. Plus, I decided I wasn't the marrying type, so I just decided that I needed that solitude. I don't know. I think a lot of musicians are like that. A lot of musicians are single. And the reason for that is that it's hard to find. If you found that other person that really jives with you, hang on to them, because they're not that easy to find. That really appreciate you as a musician or as an artist. That's a tough one. I mean, you see all those little memes about, if you're with a musician, you might have compensation coming to you. That's really kind of true in a way.
That's hilarious.
But anyway, I don't know. I might find Mr. Right,
You never know.
tomorrow. Who knows?
You never
But
know.
I'm not looking for it for sure. He
What
better
else?
be slinging a guitar, is all I got to say.
Slinging a guitar, strumming himself.
Strumming.
With his words. Oh, yeah, audience question.
My name's Ben. I've been listening to your stuff on the channel
Oh, cool.
for open mic and stuff like that. But so I'm reading an article the other day, and it was about Crosby, Stills, Nash. Yeah, and that's my dad's favorite band. Well, I wasn't around back then, but I had no idea that they were only a thing for like 2 years.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
And that their big show was Woodstock, and that was their first coming out. And I didn't know if this is kind of like for my dad because he'll watch this later. And what's your take your perspective on that particular band? If I know it's a random question.
Don't know if the audience if we heard that, so I'll try to repeat it back in the microphone. So the question is, help me out. What's the band's name?
Crosby,
Stills, and Nash and Young. I was going to say Creedence Clearwater Revival, and that was not the one.
That's another one, same
That's
era.
another one. But that they were together for only 2 years, and we all imagine in today's current culture that they'd been together forever, and they only played Woodstock. And the question is,
Fillmore, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways, do you like them?
what's your take on all
I
that, Terri?
love those guys. I love those guys. It is like, and if that's what I'm talking about, that belief and that passion, And I guarantee you, those guys, they're still doing stuff. I mean, the ones that are still here, but they, like Neil Young, he came into that group. He was the last one that came into that group, and at first they weren't sure they wanted to have him because he was just kind of rowdy, But then they decided, all right, he was a good fit. But those guys, in that 2 years, they created music that has lasted a lifetime, and it has survived all of those years. That's the kind of stuff. Those are storytellers. That's, I think, what makes them so relevant, because they're storytellers. You can get a lot of people that write music, but do they tell a story? And when you can do that so profoundly, those guys, I mean, they had a whole different style. They came out with their own kind of style. So that's why. I mean, it is shocking to know that. And it's also shocking, say Led Zeppelin, they came together because they were, neighbors and school kids, and they all started out so young. But, and then that's another thing. It's really cool, though. I mean, it's an amazing thing, but I love those guys. I love that whole era. And probably, if the truth be known, I get some of my inspiration from them. Just the way my stories go, I was able to listen to a lot of those guys and be able to that's how I feel, So they connect with a lot of people, and they still do. It's amazing.
The 60s and 70s were a pretty amazing time in American music culture.
Yeah, music was just, I mean, if you look at 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, it's almost like you had the blues, which I think was the basis was the roots of everything, the country, the blues, and then it all evolved into more the classic rock, but that was still a lot of blues. Like the Rolling Stones, they were considered, a lot of their stuff was considered blues. And so, it comes up through where you have all of these different genres that have just evolved and evolved and evolved. And then you look at what it is now, and now even country has broken off into the different branches. And so it's just amazing, and it's fascinating. Then you went off into another genre of things like electronic music, where people were, like my cousin, he's a great electronic musician, and he gets in there and just, and look at little MJ Josiah and, Josiah and Autumn. They get in there, and I mean, if you listen to their stuff, it's in here. But they have evolved.
Absolutely.
They have evolved. When they first started, it was different. Now they're just coming into their own, coming into this style, and even their music it's almost like their music has gone back and yet brought the past into the future. So it's amazing. It is fascinating. It's just a fascinating world.
Well, Queen, I'm really glad that you're at the helm for a lot of this in Abilene.
Well, thank you.
Yep.
I've so enjoyed it and so loved it. And I'm so grateful for the opportunities to get the original music out there. You know, of course I do covers myself, but when you can get your original music out there and you can bring other songwriters in and let them have a platform, which is just so cool. And Sam, you're very key in that, you know,
Good
getting
job, Sammy.
getting people to come in and you know, and that's what it's about. That's what's going to keep this world alive, is through those songwriters that can, you know, they're constantly building, constantly getting more and more experience. And so, you know, if I have any part in that, that's awesome.
Well, it's great. It's been really great to have you on our little podcast program
As our
here
first
today.
guest, officially.
Really?
As our first official guest, yeah.
Well,
had
I am
Kelly
honored.
Jameson on a few weeks ago solo, but yeah.
Oh, cool.
Between
well,
two
thank
ferns
you.
right here. You stuck
Oh,
in.
yeah.
Bookends.
Well, anything else you want us to know? Anything you want to plug before we sign off for today?
No, just keep supporting live music. We've got so many musicians in this area that get out there every weekend and they're just doing it, you know, and they're doing what they love and definitely need people to go out and support them.
Absolutely. Yep. And we love the cross promotion here in Abilene. We're happy to help out anybody and
Yeah.
keep it on going. Well, thank you so much, my dear. It's been a pleasure
Thank
and an honor
you.
to have you here. Y'all look up Terri Knight. She's all over the social media. And come out and check her out Saturdays at Cranes and Sundays here at Majestic Coffee Shop.
Yeah, and I have a website. It's terriknight.com, and I've got all my stuff there. I think I got all my music on there. I've got to update it, but
Yeah. Always ongoing. Got to update the website. That's my excuse, too. Well, D, till next week.
Till next week.
All right, my guy. Terri, thanks so much.
thank you very much, and thank all of you for watching.
Way to go, Sammy. Good show.